Hi, I'm Joel H. Brewster, and I'm no stranger to horror. And this is a podcast where I try my best to convert you from being a casual horror fan to a person like me who's a full-blown spooky film fanatic. And
alliteration is good. Film fanatic.
All right. Yeah. With me today, that is the voice of Gabriel Carter. He is from the award-winning short films Roses, as well as Time Kills No Wounds. And he is a werewolf specialist. And that's what we're going to be talking today. It's a werewolf movie. But to give you a hint on which movie that is, I'm going to mention 3 different TV shows that have nothing to do with each other. And I'll let Gabriel answer.
Ooh, look at that.
Stars of these 3 shows were in this film: Grey's Anatomy, Gotham, and Game of Thrones. Do you know which film stars from those 3 shows?
Is this a question for me?
That's a question for you, yeah.
I don't know, no.
Dog Soldiers.
Really? They were in all those things,
all those, they were. So Dr. Owen Hart.
Oh, right. Sean Pertwee in Gotham. What am I thinking?
That's right. And Dr. Owen Hart from Grey's Anatomy. And then Davos Seaworth, who's also in Game of Thrones. And yeah, that's a little weird trivia that when I watched it this time around, I was like, weird. Like those are the guys went up to do different shows. But yeah, Dog Soldiers is the movie we're going to talk about today, the 2002 film. And Gabriel is a werewolf specialist. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So,
a werewolf specialist. I'm going to put that on my CV. Let's hope I'm a werewolf specialist.
Well, to kick it off here, I have the number one werewolf question. I think that everyone's going to wonder right away. Do you prefer like the bipedal, like Wolfman werewolf, or the full-on wolf? What's your preference there on werewolf movies?
Yeah, I'm not trying to be dodgy here, but I think that there's good things about both.
Ooh, okay.
Quite honestly. Yeah. It's not like a shamblers versus sprinters kind of thing, you know?
I fully agree. Yeah. There is like a really different, it's really cool things from both. What are your thoughts on both? What are your good thoughts on each of them?
Well, I think that one of the things that I would say is I like my monsters bestial, whether that's vampires or werewolves, for instance. So for instance, for vampires, 30 Days of Night, that's the kind of vampire I like. And for werewolves, I'm not a huge fan of the more gothic, romantic sort of notion of them.
Okay.
Which is why, for instance, Dog Soldiers is one of my all-time favorite films. You know, Neil Marshall, one of the things that he said that he didn't want to make a werewolf movie with soldiers. He wanted to make a soldier movie with werewolves.
Oh, I like that quote. I like that idea too. It's a really cool idea.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that sort of sentiment is really obvious in the film.
Absolutely. One thing that I thought was really cool about the film too is along with it obviously being a werewolf film, it has like a very clear home invasion vibe to it. So it has like both. And I really like that. I don't think there's anything else that has, both a mix of 2 genres you never really think of. Like the home invasion and werewolf are 2 very different genres that he puts together so well. Neil Marsh puts together so well in this movie.
Yeah. Siege, a siege movie.
Ah, yeah.
They are under siege by 7.5 foot tall werewolves, which is the first time that's happened, that they were that large.
Yeah, they looked really cool. I like the elegance of them. They're just because I believe he used dancers as opposed to stuntmen.
He did. He absolutely. And that was the plan from the very beginning. And when they actually took the maquettes, the models of the werewolves to all the studios initially, they all said no, because they said, this is way too much. This is way too ambitious for what you want to do. And also at the time they were like, we don't really make movies like this anymore. But yeah, the whole dancer thing they had planned from the very beginning, and then they put them on stilts, and you have what you see.
What a very interesting look too. So the dancer thing is just, it's just one of those things I've just never seen anything look. It doesn't feel like it's been done again as far as looking at what the werewolves looked like.
Yeah, no, first and only time, and it's all it probably doesn't need to be said, but it's all practical. It's all in camera, and that really shows. There's no CG.
Yeah. What got you into werewolves, though?
What got me into werewolves? I think just to kind of piggyback on a previous thing that I said, that they're very bestial, and I think the notion that because all horror movies are like all extended metaphors. So I think that the notion that there's something inside of us that can change if the circumstances are right.
Oh yeah.
Has always tickled me in the most chilling way.
Okay. Yeah. So it's that like Does that go across all different types of monsters for you? Just like, yeah, I guess it does with vampires, what you're saying here, as well as werewolves. Does it spread across to other monster genres as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I just revisited Jennifer's Body, which is, I think, a kind of criminally overlooked film that's amazing. And the creature in that was about adolescence and sort of the torment of coming into this world as an adult, and so on and so on and so forth. So yeah. Yes is my answer.
I absolutely love that film too. It's just, yeah, very, very, very underrated. And it's one of those movies I feel like it was like missed by like I want to say a decade. If it was released like maybe like even like 5 years later, it would have hit a different audience, but now it's like a cult classic.
Absolutely. I know.
Yeah.
That's one of the wonderful things about genre films in general is that like Carpenter's The Thing was universally shit on.
Yeah. That's so weird to look back at. That's so weird to look back and even think of. That's
right. And like Carpenter was absolutely devastated because he made what he thought was, his life's work of a movie. And the critics were like, this is crap. This is awful. This is perverse.
How long did that one take to like get us some traction? Because like as long as I've like thinking back now, right?
Yeah.
It feels like it's always been popular, but it obviously wasn't when it first came out. So how did it take like a couple of years for that one?
I'm just spitballing here, so please be merciful, listening audience. But I think it was about 10 years before it really hit. Yeah.
So it was weird to look back at. Like, I wonder if there's any movies now that have come out. Like, well, I guess Jennifer's Body would be the closest example, but I wonder if there's been any movies that are like coming out like this year or something that like 5 years from now, 10 years from now are going to be picked up like that. But I can't think of any.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's like what you said. It's a movie is of its time, and if its time is not that sweet spot of audience universal acclaim or critic acclaim, then it gets ignored until it doesn't, I guess.
Yeah, and my favorite thing about movies like that is that they always have something very unique and very weird to them, right? There's never a time there's going to be a generic movie that just, is generic for its time. And you know what I mean? It hit all the marks for its time. And then all of a sudden it didn't do well, but then it picked up years later. It feels like those movies are always very unique. And then 5 years later, people catch on to it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. The Stuff is another one that I'm a huge fan of. You ever see The Stuff?
I know of this stuff, and I'm probably gonna get crucified for it. I haven't seen the stuff though. It's like one that just missed me.
There's no crucifixions here. It's all just horror fans trading. Oh my God, have you seen this fucking movie?
Yeah, I know. It's like one of the ones I haven't seen out of like all the classics. So it's like just one blind spot. I feel like that's the one I missed.
I'm sure I have plenty that people would be aghast that I haven't seen.
For me now, it's like there's a bunch of new ones that I'm like, okay, I'll get to it. But there's just so much content coming out at all times now that I'm like, I'll get to it when I get to it.
I know. We're actually living in a fucking gorgeous age.
Oh, absolutely.
There's so much quality stuff out there.
One thing I've noticed though, in this gorgeous age of cinema, we're still not getting enough werewolf films. I feel like we're really not.
It's always been no, that's not true. It hasn't always been. I think that there was a period in the 70s where it was it was the flavor that everyone wanted to taste. But for the most part, werewolves are a genre that is kind of the stepchild. Vampires are like every single decade has got, you throw a rock and you hit a vampire film, but werewolves, not so much.
Yeah, they're like the one monster that really doesn't like get the love like that, and I find that really odd because they're again a very iconic creature. So I just don't understand like why it.
And it's one of these things too, like when American Werewolf in London came out, I think everybody, filmmakers kind of threw up their hands and said, well, we can't do that subject matter. That's it.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen with other monsters, No,
I actually just rewatched that in preparation for this. I figured I'd come back up. I had come up in this conversation, and yeah, it's just one of those very ambitious for it, even for its time. Ultra gory. I love that movie. It was great to rewatch that too.
I am a victim of your carnivorous lunar activities.
Funniest thing about that time, when I heard that line today, I was like, why is that a werewolf movie title just by itself? Like that could just be like that alone. I'm like, that's such a perfect title. I was like, I heard that. I was like, I wanted to write it down. Like, I want to write a werewolf movie with that exact title as a nod to Werewolf in London.
I know you'd have to write John Landis, dear Mr. Landis, if I could please use your incredible line for the name of my film. Yeah,
it's such a cool title.
No kidding. So something that I love about the origin story for Dog Soldiers is Neil Marshall got together with this guy named Keith Bell, and they were drinking in a pub in the Scottish Highlands. And over this period of drinking time in this pub, they came up with the concept of Dog Soldiers, and they drunkenly signed a contract on a napkin saying that they would do this, swearing to each other that they would do this.
Wow.
And, a whole slew of years later, it actually came to fruition.
That is not the drunken ideas I have with my friends to make such like a legendary movie.
I know. That's what I love about it, right? The number of times it's like, what did we talk about last night? I don't know, but it was brilliant.
Yeah, it wasn't Dog Soldiers. I wish. Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder if he came up with the dancer concept then, or if that just came up like later in conception of the film.
I think that came up while they were doing the drawings and the maquettes and so on and so forth.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. I like the siege aspect too. Was the siege aspect? Do you know if that came earlier too, or I wonder if that just I guess it must have all came around the same time.
I think that was created that famous night in the pub.
Jeez. What a night. That would be a movie in itself, to just hear them drunk in the pub coming up with that. Like, I would be a fly on the wall to hear that. I would love it.
Absolutely. To call back to it's a soldier movie with werewolves. The writing in this film is phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And specifically for those of you that have or haven't seen it, there's a monologue. Do you know the monologue I'm talking about?
I do, but I really want to hear you explain it.
Yeah. So Sean Pertwee, who plays the sergeant, he does this monologue. The soldiers are around a campfire, and he does this monologue about this time where he was on maneuvers with a previous outfit in Iraq, I believe. And there was a friend of his called Eddie Oswald. And Eddie Oswald had told Sean Pertwee's character that, here's the quote, his soul belonged to God, but his flesh was beyond redemption. It was up to Satan to save his skin. And then the story sort of spins on from there by firelight with all of his squaddies listening on raptly. Remarkable dialogue. Remarkable writing. Yeah.
Such a good scene. Such a good scene. It's one of those stories that you knew it explains so much about the character. But I feel like even before that, even their conversations when they were just kind of like shooting the shit, like just that, I don't know if that was how scripted that was, but that built up such a good rapport between, like, I think the audience and the characters. And then when that monologue hits a little bit later, it all ties it all together, who they all really are, and like the respect they have for him as Sean Pertwee's character, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. One of my all-time favorite films for sure.
Yeah. Such interesting characters. Like, one of the quotes I caught this time, I don't know how I didn't catch this time. Later in the film, the Matrix nod, there is no spoon. I don't know. I didn't get to the first time around, but this time I caught that. I laughed. I was like, I love that.
Oh, here's another little fun fact since we're, so they were originally going to cast Spoon. They're going to cast Simon Pegg.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're going to cast Simon Pegg, but he had a little project called Shaun of the Dead that he had to get to.
Oh, wow. I heard Jason Statham was also another person that was going to be cast, and he was going to be in Ghost of Mars.
Yeah, exactly. Jason Statham was front and center, but he couldn't do it. Exactly.
And correct me if I think somebody got injured, right? And they're making
yes. So Kevin Mckidd, who plays the lead, Kevin Mckidd was so incredibly excited and all in to do this film that the first day of shooting, the helicopter lands and the guys jump out. Those guys were actually Belgian soldiers because they filmed in Luxembourg. But then they cut to the guys running around and stuff. Well, Kevin Mckidd jumped out and broke ribs. I think he broke like 2 ribs. Yeah. And he was so paranoid. He was so petrified that Neil would axe him from the movie that he just didn't tell him. And so they filmed for a couple of weeks. And then finally the pain was so excruciating that he ended up telling him. And Neil said, "You need to get to the hospital. What the hell were you thinking?" And he said, "I thought you would fire me from the movie." And Neil said, "Actually, you've just shown your dedication, so we're good."
Wow. I'm like wincing just thinking of that, doing all those, like just all those movement in general with broken ribs. So just like wincing, thinking of how much like he would have to work during that and just such amount of pain.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oof.
Absolutely. I've cracked a couple ribs in my time, and yeah, it's no kidding around.
Yeah, that'll put you on your ass for, is it like, it's like weeks, isn't it? If not longer.
Yeah, and it hurts to breathe.
Yeah.
Because lungs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true dedication, though. I'm glad that he wasn't kicked out of the movie and he healed up. So
yeah, absolutely.
So outside of werewolves, have you actually? This is with werewolves. So I was going to ask you this. The practical effects on werewolves. What do you prefer? Do you like the practical effects with CGI or the mixture of both?
So here's my kind of theory about CG. I'm not a universal hater of it. I just think that if you were to break it down into percentages, I like 90% practical, 10% CG.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have a werewolf and its eyes are, shining in an eerie, unnatural glow, that's the CG.
Right.
But everything else is practical, right?
Yeah. And I think that with werewolves, especially too, that's where, because I feel like there was a little era where we got nothing but CG werewolves.
Well, an American Werewolf in Paris is probably the the absolute all-time best example of awful CG.
Yeah. I was looking through like werewolf transitions recently too. Yeah. And I'm trying to think of other werewolves that we just got full CG, because we went through that little era where it was I hate to bring it up, but Twilight and then and Van Helsing as well, right? Where it was just like full out CG. Yeah. And it was like a span of year. I don't even know how close those movies were together, but it was like close enough that we had like that as the werewolf movie. And we also had like, well, Twilight was really interesting too, because turning into a full out wolf was the werewolf for a little while there. And we had a couple different projects that just made that the werewolf as opposed to like the Wolfman aesthetic.
Yeah.
So now I'm like kind of wondering like what's next for the werewolf. I know there's a werewolf movie coming up soon, but I don't feel like any of them will ever touch Dog Soldier's kind of uniqueness with the siege aspect. I really think that's a standout thing that can't be done, and I'd be concerned if they tried to remake.
Yeah, no, that probably is a one and done. I mean, in good news, they're never going to remake Dog Soldiers.
No,
it's not a big enough property.
No,
it's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those ones that horror fans are like, "Oh yeah, Dog Soldiers," but other people, they have no idea what the hell it is.
No, but it's such a cool thing. Have you seen? I think it was a couple of years ago now. Love, Sex, and Robots had a werewolf episode that was clearly like a homage to it.
Yeah, that takes place in Iraq? Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah, that's an amazing series.
So good. I felt like that episode, like that. Yeah, their episodes. That episode, counts as it looked like it was like a full-on homage to Dog Soldiers. They have to, well, not homage in the sense of the subject matter, but similar. There's some elements that I feel like they took from Dog Soldiers. I wouldn't believe them if they said they had never heard of the movie before.
I would not believe them either.
No.
Yeah, Love, Sex, and Robots. I just kind of stumbled into that. I don't know why I hadn't heard about it. And because I'm kind of long in the tooth. There you go. There's a werewolf reference. Because I'm long in the tooth.
That's the name of the episode now.
Yeah. It reminded me of first seeing Heavy Metal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that sort of mashup. Delightful mashup.
Yeah. Heavy Metal was... there's another actually animated movie that's actually coming out... or came out. Oh, well, its name escapes me, but that is like a homage to Heavy Metal too. And it's got Betty Gabriel and a number of different people too.
But you don't know the name of it?
It slips me. So
jeez.
Right. I will look it up and find it while we're talking about something else here. Speaking of actually werewolf, a wolf movie. Did you see Wolf of Snow Hollow?
No, I haven't actually. Yeah, see, there you go. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn to be aghast.
It came out last year. It was, I don't want to spoil it. It has werewolf elements to it. I'd highly recommend it for you or any listener who listens to this.
Yeah, I saw it as I was cruising the internet for werewolf stuff, but I haven't seen it yet. No.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Yeah, that's another thing about Dog Soldiers. Not too much takes from it, because I was going to say, as far as a werewolf movie goes, I haven't seen anything really take from it.
You know who I want to do a werewolf movie?
Who?
Guillermo del Toro.
I would absolutely love that.
Wouldn't that just be heaven?
Yes. That's kind of like funny that you mentioned him, actually, and I do have a connection to Dog Soldiers in a way. This when Blade 2 came out, Blade 2, which was directed by him, and Dog Soldiers, they're around roughly the same time that I would have loved a crossover between those, directed by him, like kind of like a Blade with werewolves in it.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, see, and it's around the same time, so I feel like that could fit.
This is great. You're doing like fantasy football for horror nerds.
Yeah, I hope that like people are going to start writing in and just giving me like different like ideas on that. But like, I really think that like that would have been the perfect time to do that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the closest that we've gotten and may ever get to a Guillermo del Toro making a werewolf movie is The Company of Wolves by Neil Jordan.
Haven't seen it.
Super styly. Lots of well, I was gonna say magical realism, but we're dealing with werewolves, so that's sort of an obvious. But yeah, really beautiful, super stylish.
Oh,
it's a bit it's The Company of Wolves. It's definitely more garish,
okay,
than something Guillermo del Toro would do.
Okay,
but I think it's the probably the closest that we've gotten.
Well, I'll definitely check that one out.
Yeah.
And also, I found the movie I was talking about. The animated film is called The Spine of Night.
The Spine of Night?
The Spine of Night. One of those really cool titles.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's an animated horror film, and it looks really weird. It kind of has a heavy metal vibe. It just recently came out. I haven't seen it yet, but it seems like it's doing well as far as reviews and people liking it. But it looked really odd. I'll put the trailer in the show notes. But yeah, it looks right up both of our alleys, I'd say.
Yeah, I wonder which of the 42 platforms it's going to be on.
I know. I think it's on VOD because I don't know which of the. Yeah, there's so many platforms now. Like I don't know which one of those it's on, but yeah, I think it's
definitely a different time with the platforms because when you're talking to somebody, it's like what particular neighborhood do you live in? Because I live in a neighborhood that's across town because I've got Amazon and you've got
It's true.
But you know what? Tubi brings us all together, Joel.
Yes, I do like Tubi. Tubi's got a bunch of very good selection.
See, I'm ridiculous. So I have like a number of boxes of VHS tapes and when people would say quite rightfully, that's ridiculous. Why do you have that? I would say because they've got these like B, D, E, Z grade films, that, they're not on DVD.
Yeah.
They're on DVD. But now with Tubi, I'm like, there you go.
Yeah. It seems like, they've got like a really weird horror and like sci-fi selection. They've got a really odd selection there.
It's good. Yeah. I hope it's around for a long time.
Yeah. I hope it's not one of those ones that gets bought out because there's like, that happens too much now. There's like the streaming service will be here for a little while and just absolutely disappear.
Right. I know.
One thing I would like, actually, because I keep thinking back to different things about Dog Soldiers now. One thing I would like is an expansion of that universe, but not necessarily like a remake or anything else. Just something else that happens in that universe. Not even a sequel. Just something else that can give me those tall werewolves.
Well, Mr. Writer Man, what are your thoughts?
Sorry.
Where would it take place?
I don't know. Would it have to take place? Because I don't want it to. The thing is, I don't want it to happen to like just pop up in America. I really don't want that to happen. Because I feel like you lose a bit of the grit, and even like within the same universe. And there's some lines that actually happened in this movie that I laughed about this time because I didn't really realize how like great they were. Because this time around, I watched it with my mom, who does not like horror movies. So it was the greatest viewing of all time. She loved this movie. She was instantly bought. She laughed out loud when I can't remember which character said it, but he's fighting the werewolf and he says, "I hope I give you the shits."
That's Spoon.
Spoon. Yeah, that is Spoon.
He's hitting it with like pots and pans and
pots and pans and boxing it. I don't think there's ever been a time that someone's actually throwing that many punches in a werewolf and then like stabbing it and then hitting it with everything. And my mom's, well, because we're from England, right? I was born in England, and my family is like from there.
Oh,
So
okay.
that type of British, my mom just like lost it. She loved it.
Oh, that's very cool. That's very, very cool. Yeah, Neil and what's his name? Yeah, Neil and Keith Bell, huge Sam Raimi fans.
Oh, okay.
And you can see that in the film.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
That sort of slapstick, but very, very dark and gory humor.
Yeah, I always love that when it's comedic characters in serious moments, because they are like, you can tell that outside of this in the real world, if you took these characters and they weren't in this dangerous situation and they were just out with their friends, they'd be very funny people. But this is like a very like disastrous situation for them to put in. They're in a siege, they're fighting for their lives, and they still kind of had those funny elements to them. And I like that about the way they did that in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Shaun of the Dead is another perfect example of that sort of sentiment.
Yeah. British horror in general, I feel, really has that kind of vibe to it, where they can just be funny people and just fit in a cup of tea in there, just no matter no matter what the situation.
Hey, you know what would be a great movie night is if you had Shaun of the Dead coupled with One Cut of the Dead.
Ooh,
that would be an amazing night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that might be my next article.
There you go. See, that I'm playing again fantasy football for horror nerds.
I know. I see. That's a good game too, because there's a lot out there. Horror has a good selection. Horror and science fiction, I think, have like two of the best selections to kind of mix up the worlds and have a lot of debates. You don't see like too many people like having. I guess there is debates for like dramatic movies as well, but it's not like the same as horror fans and like sci-fi nerds online just having debates about things.
No, for sure.
Just making their own teams for everything. But I would like to hear like somebody have like a notebook versus like Pride and the Prejudice like debate online too, and just go really deep into their characters and how they'd fit into those worlds. That's the world I want to live in. I
just watched Pride and Prejudice, the miniseries for Valentine's Day.
How was it?
Yeah, it's good, but you have to, my wife requested it, is my point.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, there's how many episodes? There's 6 episodes, and how long? Oh, wow. Okay. So you just kind of have to take a few deep breaths and realize that there's not going to be anyone transforming into anything.
Yeah. Did you see Pride and Prejudice and Zombies?
I haven't. No.
It's pretty good. I read the graphic novel, because there's a novel as well, but I read the graphic novel and I prefer that story, I suppose I should say.
Right. Yeah, one of the horror channels was that I subscribed to, Good Bad Flicks. The guy Cecil was talking about how they kind of ruined the movie by making it PG-13. That's kind of all I know about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very true. That's very true.
So it was sort of hobbled by that.
It's interesting. I always say there's a couple of genres that I don't think can be PG-13. And now that I think of it, I don't think I want to see, there is werewolf movies that are PG-13, but I don't think it's again, I don't think it's a genre that really fits it.
I don't either.
At all. Slashers as well, right? Slashers and vampire movies. Vampire movies, I don't understand how they keep doing it, because vampires like consume so much blood that I find it weird that they try to make them PG-13.
Well, 30 Days a Night was a hard R, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. See, and it fits, and it's like supposed to be. And yeah, they were like just true monster vampires. That's what I liked about that movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You could see the Holocaust in their eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then no God scene, like,
oh my, yeah, absolutely. I did a short film called Mistress of Bones on Crypt TV.
Oh.
And I played this Aztec demon, and the demon doesn't speak, but there's this one portion where I look up to the sky, and I've got the full prosthetics on, and looks amazing. And I look up to the sky, and I actually channeled that particular moment.
I have seen that short, and that's really cool. That's why I didn't know that. Now I have to rewatch that and look for that moment. That's really cool.
Yeah, because I had to use shorthand because it is a short film. I'm on screen for a very short period of time. Obviously, there's no dialogue, what have you. So I was like, if I can try to engender that feeling that I got from watching that no God scene in 30 Days a Night.
Oh, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely rewatch that. And that's a Luchagor short film.
It is. Yeah.
I'm a huge, as you know that about me, and I know you've been in a number of different Luchagor projects. I'm a huge Luchagor fan from their short films. Their short films actually what got me into writing horror shorts myself.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I may have told you this before. When I saw Slam, which you were in, when I
Mhm.
saw that, I was like, oh, I want to write horror shorts. Like that's just like I saw that, I was like, that's the coolest thing I've seen for. And I've heard like you explain working on it. I've heard a number of different people explain working on it, and it's just one of those things that it's such a cool short film for me, and I
You
really got
know,
me into it.
Joel, they made that for like $300.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's absolutely crazy to me.
They're nothing if not ambitious and hardworking. And I think that's a perfect example, kind of more early on in their career, to make a film like that for $300. I think that if I was a filmmaker, I'd be like, oh, wow, that's possible. Okay.
Yeah,
You know,
it's such a cool, all Luchador stuff is so cool. It's so cool to see Gigi doing so well, and obviously getting more accolades because it's so well deserved, and everything just turned out. All of our stuff since the beginning, it was just all Luchador, the team stuff has been so crazy and unique.
no, for sure, and more to come. More to come.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
see, I would like to see Gigi Salguero do a werewolf movie. That'd be really cool.
Oh, you don't think I've suggested this to her? I've suggested this to her many times, usually while drinking.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. See, I like you guys team would do a werewolf movie. That'd be such a cool werewolf feature film.
Oh yeah. So, it's been very intense. I've been like, Gigi, dog soldiers. And she's like, you keep screaming this at me. I don't know. Dog soldiers, Gigi, come on. I know.
I think it'd be cool. I think that whole team could like pull together, and with you too. I think the werewolf transition of that would be really cool.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I really do mean it. I've been yelling at her for years, so we'll see what happens.
Well, fingers crossed. I really hope that happens. Yeah, like a dog. So not even like inspiration from dog soldiers though. I really want to see another Siege werewolf movie now. Now that you've mentioned Siege, I keep on thinking of like just Siege topics for a werewolf movie. I really want to see another one. Like I really want to see just another one at this point. You're like,
this can't be a one and done genre.
It can't be. It can't.
The possibilities are too good.
Yeah, I really think there's so much you could do to it. You could have like a werewolf movie where it's like multiple, like even more of them, like teaching a bigger place with more people. I would take it in any form because this movie really is such a cool stand-up movie that I feel, like you said, like not too many people have seen, but a lot of people have seen it, but not enough.
No, it's absolutely one of those gems that whenever I mention it and somebody who's a horror fan hasn't seen it, I start clapping my hands. I'm like, oh, you haven't seen it? I'm like, think about this: soldiers in the Scottish Highlands, 8-foot tall werewolves, go.
Yeah, it's that easy to pitch too. That's it's actually that easy to pitch. It's just like that, really, you know what I mean? And just like the personalities of each of the soldiers too. When you're just like, oh yeah, this soldier's like this. And this and they're like, yeah, everything about it is just so easy to pitch and put together. And then when you see it like pulled off, it's even better than the pitch, which is a rarity.
Kind of a fun fact too is that Sean Pertwee, from the second that Neil Marshall sent him the script, he was like, I'm in whenever you do this 1,000%. And yeah, and then the film didn't get made for another 2 years. And when they called him up, he was like, I'm still in. When do we shoot? Which is what I would be as well. Definitely.
Oh, for sure. I'd want my name attached to that in any regard, just because I'm like, this is going to be good. It's going to be good. And it's one of those things like, even if this doesn't do well, it's going to be good. It's just one of those things that couldn't fail. I feel like, as far as getting horror fans excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen Silver Bullet?
A long time ago.
It's worth a rewatch.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a good one. The werewolf itself, it's practical, is pretty janky. It kind of looks like a hungover dog.
Yeah.
But the script is great, acting's great, and just like a lot of Stephen King stories, it has that like slow burn into madness.
Okay. Yeah, I saw a long time ago, and now I feel like after seeing Dog Soldiers and then watching American Werewolf in London again, I feel like I'm going to go on a werewolf rabbit hole now. I just want to see all the werewolf movies.
Absolutely.
Even the ones I've seen again.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do that, I have a question for you. Just kind of on the spot.
Yeah. 5
werewolf movies I should watch, and you can mention the ones we've already mentioned. You can just add to the werewolf movies you think I should watch.
Sure, absolutely. American Werewolf in London, obviously. Ginger Snaps, that's Canadian, and that's brilliant.
Amazing.
Silver Bullet.
Okay.
Is a great one. Bad Moon, which is an American Canadian production that a lot of people haven't. Have you seen Bad Moon?
I haven't seen Bad Moon, and I know of it too.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. It was filmed in Anmore, actually, which is a deep suburb of Vancouver.
Okay.
Yeah. Bad Moon is good. The Company of Wolves, like I mentioned. Wolfen. Yep.
Huh. Okay. I don't know Wolfen. Have you seen like pretty much close to like, well, not all the werewolf movies, but close to like, that's just like you've seen most of them, I'd say.
I've seen most of them for the type of werewolves that appeal to me.
Okay.
So for instance, I'm not a fan of Teen Wolf.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like
the Michael J. Fox or the TV series?
Yeah, the Michael J. Fox. And I love Michael J. Don't get me wrong. Everybody loves Michael J. It's just that sort of level of comedy with I take my monsters very seriously.
Yeah, that's like me too.
I want them to be absolutely terrifying and bestial, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
And all the movies that I just mentioned definitely have that aspect.
Okay, that's good to know, because that's more of the horror I'm into as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Howling, of course. Joe
Another
Dante.
one I saw a while ago.
Yeah.
Also, yeah.
You're gonna have to revisit these there, Joel.
I'm gonna have to revisit a bunch of these. Wolf's another one, right? With Yep, that's another one I need to revisit as well.
Yep. Werewolf Night.
I feel like I'm gonna have to, because I'm just getting back into werewolves now. Because once I rewatched Dog Soldiers, and then, like I said, American Wolf in London, it was one of those things where I'm like, you know what? I need to rewatch all the werewolf movies, because I feel, and there's one coming out soon, actually, next month. It's called Bloodthirsty.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is a title I think should have went to a vampire movie, but here we are. It fits. It's okay.
Yeah. Wolfcop is not one that I would strongly recommend, just because it does that balance between, comedy and horror, and like swings way more into the comedy side, of course, but that's a Canadian film, Wolfcop.
I know of it. That's another one I know of, because I knew it was Canadian, and I think there's somewhat of a connection between my former agent and one of the actors that's in it. So right. I heard of it that way. But because I thought it was more of a comedy, I didn't check it out. But now that you're saying it's kind of more of a balance, I will check that out, because there's more than one. There's like Wolfcop 2. Is there 2?
Yeah. It's got a similar sentiment to like Hobo with a Shotgun.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it was filmed in Nova Scotia, but it probably was.
Oh, okay. I like that kind of like Hobo with a Shotgun sort of. Did you see VFW?
No.
Okay, VFW is very much like Hobo with a Shotgun.
Okay.
Yeah, very the same kind of grindhouse aesthetic that way.
For sure. Yeah.
I was just about to say, I wish we had like a grindhouse werewolf movie, but I guess you just mentioned one. It's like, I wish we had a grindhouse werewolf movie. Oh, you literally just said one a moment ago.
No, that's good. We're just throwing a bunch of ideas scattershot and see what lands.
Yeah. And I'm really hoping Neil Marshall hears us. And I heard actually that a rumor that he was going to make a sequel for this movie. I'm not sure how true that is, or if that's one of those rumors like Shaun of the Dead was supposed to get a sequel.
Yeah, the Shaun of the Dead guys pretty much said no, they're not going to do that. Yeah, they said it's a one and done, and I agree with them. I
fully agree with them. They have a perfect trilogy. I think I'm okay with those three, the Cornetto trilogy, staying the way it is.
No, exactly.
Nee was on my show last week, and she asked me. Nee's Gabriel's wife, by the way, who was on the show last week. Thought I would just explain that to the listeners here.
Just keep it out in the family. There you
go. She asked me to ask you this question, and it's not werewolf related, but it is monster related, and I did want to know your answer on this, because it's for a movie that's coming up.
Okay.
Who do you think is going to win out of King Kong and Godzilla?
Oh my word, she's a brat. I mean, obviously Godzilla's going to win. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Do you think? Okay, I've been asked this question too. I was asked this question last week when I was doing like a Q&A with a bunch of these writers on these intern writers, but they asked me the same. One of the people asked me the same question, and my answer was, I think Godzilla is going to win. Is what I said. But I could see Kong winning because he's the underdog. But I think Godzilla should win. Yeah,
Godzilla, it's all in the title, King of the Monsters. He's got thermonuclear hellfire. Like, how the hell are you supposed to? And they're trying to game the system because they've made Kong bigger.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
significantly bigger. And he's also got the axe that is made from the dorsal fin of a Godzilla creature that was killed and so on and so, but still, no, it's got to be Godzilla.
That's what I said. Like, that's what I think too. But yeah, well, I guess it's funny when this comes out. Yeah, this should come out just before the movie. But yeah.
Have you seen the original, like back in the 60s?
I haven't seen the full. I've seen clips from the movie, but who wanted the original?
They actually am I spreading internet rumors that are not true? Because there was this rumor that they did two different endings, like one in Japan, one in the US. But I think it's all bullshit. So I'm going to retract that.
Okay.
Godzilla wins.
Okay.
Yeah, Godzilla wins. But I mean, it's just hilarious because and God love him. But yeah, the ape suit in that movie was pretty janky. Pretty janky.
We've come a long way from ape suits now.
Well, it wasn't even a good ape suit, is my point.
Just like a bad, almost like what the same ape suit that someone would wear to pretend to be Sasquatch. Almost, is that what you're saying? What it looks like?
Yes, the King Kong in that movie looks like it was missing a few chromosomes.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Now I definitely want to watch. I think I might have to watch that before I watch King Kong vs. Godzilla, and just go a double feature that way.
Sure. You want to honor history? I got you.
I saw a video recently that was showing kind of how many Godzilla movies there were, and I'm like, man, I really did not know there was this many.
Oh yeah, that's a rabbit hole. If you want to fall into that, you can. Oh, here's kind of a fun fact, actually, just real quick. So one of the top Godzilla experts in the world lives in Burnaby.
Really?
Really, yeah. And Nee and I had our own show, our own like talk variety show, and we interviewed him. And wow, he had a lot to say about Godzilla, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's Dog's Breakfast, your show on YouTube, correct?
Yeah. Stan Hyde was his name.
Stan Hyde. Well, I'll put that episode. That they're still all on YouTube, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm going to put that episode on the show notes because I'd love to watch that.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, I'll definitely put that episode on the show notes and check that out because that's really cool.
Isn't that amazing that he would be in Burnaby?
Yeah, so random.
Yeah. A friend came to me and said, "Hey, are you guys looking for people for your show?" I don't know why I made him talk like that. hey. He had like a half cigar and a painted on mustache.
Came out of nowhere too.
Yeah, no, he said, "Are you still looking at it?" And I said, "Yeah, who you got?" And he goes, "One of the top Godzilla experts in the world." And I went, "Oh, yes, definitely."
Godzilla expert. So he just knows everything about, like, obviously the films, and I'd say everything about the films in the world, I suppose.
Yeah, like he flies to Japan and is like courted there. They're just like however you say Sir Stan Hyde in Japanese. That's what they're doing. It's pretty phenomenal.
Really cool.
Yeah. There's a thing called G Fest, which is like this big convention of Godzilla fanatics. I think probably kaiju fanatics, but Godzilla mostly. That's a really cool
sounding festival that I would love to go to.
Me too, right? There's so much stuff to do, Joel.
Yeah, I know. So much stuff to do when the world opens back up. Now I want to go to that. Why is there a werewolf fest? That's what we need to start.
Yeah. It just makes me think of What We Do in Shadows when the werewolves meet the vampires. And I love it. And he goes to throw the stick and he's like, "Don't do it."
Another great movie. I haven't seen the series yet, but the movie is really great.
I haven't either. Got to get to it. I know.
There's so much stuff. There's so much stuff to get to. What if you were the top werewolf expert? What if that was like your profession now?
Oh my gosh. I am the farthest thing from the top werewolf expert.
You're the top one for the West Coast Strange podcast now. So for No Stranger to Horror, you're our werewolf expert. So I'm going to come to you with more werewolf movies.
I mean, that's awesome. Completely unearned, but that's incredible. I gotta bone up. I gotta learn more.
Well, you gave me so many werewolf suggestions too, right? So there's so many werewolf films that I have to check out now. So
yes,
now
absolutely.
I have to watch a bunch of these and go through them. And yeah, so you're my top werewolf expert now. So it's earned from the show of No Stranger to Horror podcasts on today's dates that you are our top werewolf expert.
I'll be expecting the specially made badge in the mail.
Of course.
Okay. Excellent. Because otherwise, people would just look at me when I was talking and be like, "What are you? You're just some jerk." And I'd be like, "No. Here's the badge."
Go it everywhere. It gets you into movies when movies open back up.
Exactly.
All right. So yeah, to wrap up here, let's just think. As far as is a werewolf movie like your like dream character to play? I think you've told me that before. I think that's how I found out more about your werewolf love.
It absolutely is. Yeah. I yeah, if there's any casting directors listening, I would love to be in a quality werewolf movie.
My next question on that werewolf topic. Top 3 directors you've mentioned one. Top 2 more directors you'd like to be in a werewolf, like they've never done a werewolf movie before, and you just be like, that's a director I think would make a good werewolf movie.
Oh, God, that's a good question. Yeah, so Del Toro. Would Terry Gilliam make a good werewolf movie?
I wonder. A weird one, I thought it was Tarantino.
Oh yeah. No, he would be good. I'm gonna say Del Toro, Terry Gilliam. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, that's a tough question.
It's a good one though. That's a damn good question.
A bunch of different things went through my mind of like werewolf director, and I went really big too with some of them. I'm like, I wonder what a Christopher Nolan werewolf movie would be like, because it's just so weird and so unlike anything he's ever done before.
There'd be a lot of boom.
I know, exactly. You wouldn't hear anything when the werewolf starts to growl or anything too, because it would just like there'd be like all the music would be like focused on that.
Oh no, absolutely, yeah. It would overwhelm the transformation. Boom.
And it'd be a very I think that who that he'd get to be like a werewolf would be someone like you wouldn't expect. Like it'd be like Tom Hiddleston in a werewolf movie. Do you know what I mean? It'd be like very like an odd choice.
Well, Tom Hiddleston's a phenomenal actor. So
absolutely,
that would be very cool. You know who I'd love to see. This is just kind of my dog in the fight because he's one of my all-time favorite actors. I would love to see Ed Harris in a werewolf movie. Yeah.
Oh, now we're talking like actors I'd like to see in a werewolf movie too.
Yeah. See, I'm skipping nimbly away from your director question because my feeling is the second that we stop this podcast, I'll be like, oh shit.
Well, if you think of anyone like once we stop the podcast, by all means, I'll just we'll toss in the show notes too on who your top 3 directors for werewolf movies as well.
You're very merciful to give me that second chance. That's good.
Of course. You're a werewolf expert, so I have to, right? As my werewolf expert, I'll ask you the question when you come back on the show when we talk about werewolves again.
Excellent. I'll have a great answer for you.
Okay. So before I let you go, where can we find you online so we can hear more about your career as well as werewolves and anything else you've got going on?
IMDB.
All right.
I guess. Yeah.
And for myself, you can find me on West Coast Strange or at West Coast Strange on Facebook and Instagram.
Joel, I have the answer for you.
Ooh,
right in the nick of time. Mike Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan. Okay.
Mike Flanagan. Boom.
He'd be a great choice.
Yeah.
He'd be a great choice. I think he said he wants to do a Clayface movie, like a Batman villain Clayface.
Yeah, we don't have time for that. We're talking werewolves.
He's off. He's going to do the werewolf movie.
Yeah, you fucked up, Flanagan. This is what we've planned your career for you, buddy.
Yeah, that's your next movie. And you know what? If you're listening to this podcast, you have to do it. All right. Well, Gabriel, thank you so much.
Hey, it's been so much fun, man.
Yeah, it's been absolutely great. Until next time, we get to talk werewolves again.
Okay.
All right. And I'll talk to everyone else later. Bye, guys.